This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by productivity authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Experience with myself, Adam Strong. And today I am with someone, a really good friend of mine, actually, who I've known for a best part of around 6 years, I think now. Her name is Tracey Smolinski. Tracey, by trade, is a serial entrepreneur. She's also a property investor and also the owner and founder of an amazing network, a global network now, called Introbiz, which I'm sure she'll tell you a little bit more about that in our conversations. And also, what I was going to say is, Tracey is also through Introbiz, she's also created and she also launched one of Wales' biggest exhibitions as well, and has been on the same stages as like Grant Cardone, which is amazing. Lord's Alan Sugar. If you're not sure who he is, please check him out. We've got Michelle Moan. We've got so many different celebrities that you've been rubbing shoulders with. It's ridiculous. And Tracey also came over to our private members club last year in Sweden and had her and her amazing fantastic husband. He'll kill me if I don't mention him, by the way, Mr. Paul Smolinski. Trace, just fantastic to have you on today.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for having me on, Adam. Really honored and humbled that you've invited me onto your podcast. So thank you. Awesome.
So listen, I know that we know each other quite well and we've been in connections. And it's interesting, when we first met, didn't we, around sort of probably the best part of 6-7 years ago. And you know, when you meet someone for the first time, right? And I don't know what it's about. Maybe you can explain about having this kind of interesting energy when you have this chemistry between. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and I think, I always say to people, there's nothing more powerful than looking someone in the eye and engaging with them and asking lots of open-ended questions about them. Usually within 5 to 10 minutes, you can tell whether there's some sort of chemistry between you, that you're going to potentially do business together, or whether you're not. Because not everybody likes everybody. We don't all connect with everybody. There'll be people that like me and don't like Paul, and vice versa. And that's just the law of the world, really. I think you attract people who are very similar to you. So you tend to mirror people and attract people who are very similar. But yeah, I think that's very powerful when you can look someone in the eye. And I think at the minute, in the current situation with COVID, I'm really missing that human connection. However, doing something via Zoom where you can still talk to people and you can look at them in the eye, that's probably the next best thing, but
Absolutely.
Obviously the physical world is so much better, which
Definitely.
I think we are, we're human beings and we all like that human connection,
Absolutely. Now, I know your story very well, but I know that we have a global audience listening into the show. Would it be all right if you could just give us a little bit of background as to when you started off in advertising and when it all started, the journey for you? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course. So I actually, back in 2007, I was working for a local publisher selling advertising in a business magazine. And I'd been in advertising for a long time, worked for the local newspaper, worked for television, and I worked on selling billboard advertising. But my last job before, which introduced me to networking, if you like, my boss said to me at the time, he said, right, you've joined the company now. One of the strategies to get new business, I want you to go out and go networking. And I said, okay, yeah, that's fine. I said, I've never done networking before, but I'll give it a go and see where it takes me. And I'll never forget it. I went to my first event. And because obviously when you're in advertising, you're very, very target driven. You're only as good as your last month's sale. And, you've got to hit your targets. And if you don't hit your targets, you're gone. So obviously I'd had a really good career selling advertising space, did really, really well at it. I was sales rep of the year, one thing and the other. But my boss said, go out networking. So I went to my first event. But for the first 3 months of networking, I got it completely wrong. And I'll tell you why I got it wrong. And this is, I do actually try and empower people to do networking in the right way, because of how I got things wrong. So bearing in mind, I was obviously very, as I said, sales driven and target driven. So I would actually go up to people and say, hi, I'm Tracey. I was Jenkins at the time. Hi, I'm Tracey Jenkins. I run a, I host, no, I wasn't hosting networking events, sorry. I'm actually selling advertising space. Do you think you'd be interested? And people were like, oh my God, who's this sales girl, you know? And, so I did that for 3 months, not knowing that wasn't the right way to do things. And people were obviously backing away from me, and I could see from their body language that they weren't getting me and I wasn't getting them. And then I just said to a couple of people who I just started to build a good relationship with, oh my God, I said, am I doing something wrong? Because this networking lark is not working for me.
Sure.
And they were like, well, yeah. And I went, oh my God, give me the honest feedback. Come on, sock it to me. And obviously, we don't all like constructive criticism, but I think you should embrace it because that's how you become better. So I took it on the chin and said, right, what is it I'm doing wrong? And they said, you're giving it the hard sell. It's not about that. It's about building relationships, getting people to know you, like you, and trust you, and then the business will follow. So they said it's more of a long-term game. And I said at the time, oh my God, yeah, but I need to hit my targets, and maybe networking isn't the right strategy for me. And they said, well, if you're going to go down that route the route that you've been going down, you're not going to get any business. And if that's what you want to do, your networking is not going to work for you. To take stock of it and thought, well, I work either two ways. I either give up on it or I flip it and change it and make it better. So I decided the latter. So I thought, right, I'm going to make this work. So I got told that, get to know people first, find out about them, and then the business will follow. So I changed my tack, and month 4, as I say, month, 1, 2, and 3, 0 business. Month 4 to month 12, I went on to sell 95 grand's worth of business. Why? Because I changed the way that I did things, and I just started to get to know people, ask lots of open-ended questions about them, and got this out of my head that it wasn't about me, it was about other people. So from going from being, I suppose, the taker in the room and just wanting to sell in the room, realizing that wasn't the right way to do things, although I absolutely love networking because I love meeting new people, I'm a people's person.
Yes.
Doing it the right way then was like, wow, this is really powerful stuff. But what I've noticed in the business community, there was no networks out there in my area that would necessarily place you with your target audience at the event. So I sat there the one day and thought, well, why don't I business marry people together at an event? Why don't I put on networking events whereby I could say, right, let's put you with your target audience, find out before you come who I can put you in touch with, let's get down to the nitty gritty, save a lot of time by connecting people who they really needed to be connected to. And I came up with a concept. But at the time, I didn't have a huge amount of money because I'd always come from a place of earn it, spend it, and I didn't even invest it, and that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from that point on, that I needed to start investing in myself, but also in my future. So one of my customers, I told him the idea that I wanted to create this network where we could business marry people together. So it's a bit like a business dating agency without the kissing. And he laughed when I told him, but he said, well, I tell you what, he had about 6 or 7 businesses. I'll fund you. I'll help you do it. And we'll do this business together. So I left my company working for the business magazine in October 2008, sorry, because obviously I'd done a year of networking. And in January 2009, we launched the brand of Introbiz. And that's where it was born. We came up with a concept, we came up with a brand, and we started to build traction. And obviously the rest is history. But basically, to cut a long story short, after about 5 months, I had some health issues. I had a stricture in my esophagus and I couldn't swallow food properly. And I was not eating properly, not drinking properly because I couldn't even swallow water or liquid. It just kept coming back up. And then I basically went into hospital. I was having health issues. And my boss or my partner at the time said, this isn't working for me anymore. The business wasn't growing as fast as he would like. And I said, well, I tell you what, let me take it over. And I'd earned enough money for him when he funded it for me to give him his money back and more. So he gave me the business 5 months later. And then I took it over. And obviously, and then a year later, I went to the Polo, and that's where I met Mr. Smo. And I was there to network, to do business. And I came back with a husband.
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do. Interesting. I bet that person that you lent you the money to start Introbiz, I bet he's biting his tongue right now and he's thinking,
Who knows?
But who knows,
Well,
right?
I haven't seen him since, actually, and
Seriously?
he's never reached out to me. But no,
Wow.
no, so.
Interesting. I guess my first question really, which came to my mind is, with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and a lot of our listeners right now, in terms of, you talked about the importance of building relationships. Where do you think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners go wrong?
Well, I mean, obviously the usual general mistakes of business, and obviously a mistake with regards to networking. If you want to be more specific, I mean, there's loads of mistakes that people make. Is they don't know how to scale up. They don't know how to do their cash flow. They don't know how to market. They want to stay small, so they don't market their business.
Sure.
But with regards to networking mistakes, is a lot of people don't value what networking can do for people. And a lot of people don't take action to join a membership club or even go networking. And I always use this analogy, an example of Woolworths. So Woolworths were a massive brand, okay? They didn't embrace social media. They didn't embrace new things and modernize their brand. They were back in the old days. So they stuck to their old ways of the way they did things. They never embraced the change of what new people and young people wanted. They therefore foreclosed their business. So I always say to people, never look back on your life and think, oh my God, what if only I didn't do that? So networking has been so super powerful for me and many of my clients. And I think a lot more people now are embracing networking more, especially in this current climate when we all have to just take things online, which we now have an online membership for. But a lot of people don't see the value, and they don't understand the power of what people can do and what relationships they can create and what extra products and profit they can make from attending networking events and building relationships to grow their business.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy, especially for like entrepreneurs and business owners, to just kind of, I suppose, be a bit of a hermit or hide under a stone, right? And just kind of block your way away from kind of civilization, I suppose. But I suppose humans are creatures of habit, right? They need to have that, that connection with human beings. But I don't know, I just kind of, maybe that there's this kind of limiting belief that people kind of create, don't they, in their mindset more than anything else.
Yeah. But and we are missing that human connection, especially, for maybe introverts out there are not missing that human connection, because for a lot of people, when they go to networking events, they find it really daunting, really daunting. And I've created courses for introverts, and some of the most super successful entrepreneurs are introverts. So for all you introverts who are listening, don't think to yourself, oh my God, I can't do this. You 100% can. You just need to reach out to me and I'll help you with that, because a lot of people are fearful of networking, and they shouldn't be. They should embrace it. Because one thing that I feared many years ago, 4 years ago, I started doing online webinars for networking training. And I say started doing webinars. I did one, okay? And it was on GoToWebinar, and I lost signal. I had about 25 people online at the time. And I thought, oh, this is good. Obviously it wasn't hundreds of people. And I lost signal, and I lost all my confidence, and I just gave up on not doing it. I thought, well, I'm no good at that webinar. I never embraced how to do it properly. I never embraced the change, and I've lost out massive opportunities because of that. So that's a massive mistake that I made. And I like to, when I'm being interviewed for podcasts, I always like to share some of my mistakes, because I like to empower people. Don't do what I did, So embrace the change, embrace learning new things, because since lockdown, I've learned massively so many new things. And off the back of that, I've got some of the most amazing opportunities, and we've created extra products because of the coronavirus.
We'll talk about that, because we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I wanted to kind of touch base with you about this, because I know that there are a few skeptical minds out there with regards to, I suppose, associating with people that are more successful than you. Because I know that, you've managed to rub shoulders with some millionaires, billionaires in your lifetime, which is great and fantastic. But what has that done in terms of, number one, to your business, and number two, what are the benefits behind that for you?
Well, obviously with us, where we started with that, we grew our business off the back of the expo. So we started to do expos. Paul, my husband, came into my business. He was working in retail for many years. And he used to manage big teams and used to go up the M4 corridor to London and Devon and Cornwall and all these places, managing hundreds of people. And when I asked him to come into the business, he was like, oh my God, he didn't really understand networking when I first met him. And then when he realized, he was like, oh my God, yeah, I could do this business with you. And one of the things that he came up with was, why don't we went to an expo where we exhibited in Cardiff, and it wasn't great. The footfall wasn't great. So Paul said, we're going to create an expo. So we started to create the expos, and then we got high profile speakers to come in, but that was off the back of other people. So initially we had Kevin Green, who's a wealth millionaire, who's been on Secret Millionaire, and he does a lot of global events all around the world, but he's a Welsh guy. So we initially had him to start speaking at our expos. He then, because realized, we built up a good relationship with him, and he started to know us, like us, and trust us, and vice versa. He then introduced us to Hilary DeVay, who was on Dragon's Den, which then, once we started getting those high profile speakers, more high profile speakers would approach us. And what it does, it creates the credibility factor. And by building relationships with people that know people, that's how we ended up getting to mix with all these people. And it was just building our trust and credibility and showing up every day in the business community, And if we say we're going to do something, we have to deliver. We have to say we're going to do something, and we deliver. And that's how you build your trust. And, I've mixed with, yes, many multimillionaires and billionaires. And as you know, Paul and I had the privilege to go to Necker Island last year with Sir Richard Branson. And that was an incredible experience. And we're hopefully going back again this year. But we took clients with us. And what it does is, what Introbiz stands for, we want to create opportunities, not just for us, but for our clients. We want to take them on a journey. We want to take them to share that experience with us. It's not, because this business is not about us. This is about what we can do for other people. But by aligning ourselves with those high profile speakers and the multimillionaires and billionaires, we are surrounding ourselves with the best people, which we will then attract other people. And obviously we can make those connections for them.
Absolutely.
So, and by learning from the best, I can then transfer that knowledge skills that I've received from having these conversations with people like Sir Richard and, Grant Cardone and Lord Sugar. We can transfer those skills to other people, for our members and our clients.
Fantastic.
Which is, as I say, you have to share things, and we're all about sharing the love, If we learn new things, we like to then, transfer those learning skills that we've had to other people.
That's what I love about you, Trace, because, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we click so much, is because we share the same values, don't we? And we come from a place of service. I don't know about you, but it's not about money. It's about helping others, serving others. And that, that's why we're doing what we do, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, the more people that you help to create their dreams and for them to become better and more successful, your business is going to grow anyway. So it's all about the purpose. What is your purpose? And, my purpose and mission in life is to empower everybody globally to network effectively for their exponential growth. Period. That is it. Because the more that I do that, my company is going to grow anyway.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Interesting question I wrote down here, actually. But in terms of approaching people that are more successful than you, how do you go about doing that?
Well, I think, it's all about what is it you can do for others. So when you approach people, I know we had Jarek Robbins on a couple of weeks ago, Tony Robbins' son, and he was an incredible speaker. And one of the things that I completely remembered what he said, and he gave a fantastic example. It was incredible. There was a gentleman that wanted to reach the CEO of a business, okay? And he thought, how am I going to get to him? He said, I want to have a coffee with him for an hour to pick his brains. But he said, at the end of the day, like we always say, what can you do for other people? Rather than going in saying, I want a coffee with you for the next hour to pick your brains, he said this. He analyzed this guy's business, who was a multimillionaire and top entrepreneur, obviously, because that's why he wanted to have a conversation with him. He analyzed his website, and he analyzed what he was doing in his business. And he found, he did it over 100 days. He took notes every single day for 100 days, right? Before he even approached him. And he did, right, what can I improve upon this company to make them grow even more, right? So when he had all this information, 100 days later, he went back to the CEO and he said to him this one thing. He said, Mr. Joe Bloggs, I've been analyzing your company for the last 100 days. this is what I think that you can do to improve your business. Could we arrange a meeting to see how I can help you further to grow your business even more? Wow. This guy, this CEO was a multimillionaire anyway, probably a billionaire. And he had somebody that wanted to meet up with him for a coffee, okay? Because he said, I want to add more value to your life. Do you see my point? And rather than most people would go from the angle of, I want to meet you for a coffee to see how I can pick your brains to help myself. But actually he went in with a different angle and said, I've been analyzing your business. I've been analyzing your website, and I've got 100 ways to help you grow your business even more. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow, you know, and I do a lot of talks in schools for the Welsh government. And I always say to the youngsters, and they're obviously the entrepreneurs of the future, Paul always says, as you know, and I know you've probably heard him say it, and you've probably seen him put motivational quotes up quite regularly. There's two types of people in life. There's givers and there's takers. Be a giving person and give without necessarily expecting something back in return. And coming from a place of giving, where that's the way I'm all about giving, is if, for instance, I'll give you an example. If there's two students that come to me for an interview, and one of them is highly skilled as the other, they're both the same skill set, okay? One of them is not prepared to work for me for free for a week, but the other person is. Not so much because they're working for me for free, but the fact that they've got the right attitude, that they are prepared to work for free. And we had last year 25 volunteers for the expo. And I said to every single one of them, because you're going to work for me for free for a couple of weeks or, you know, a couple of days, I'm going to do something for you, because I'm all about, someone wants to do something for me. We're going to add value to them by, they can put Introbiz on their CV to say that they've worked for us, to give them the experience. And I said, I will give you a reference. But what I did as an extra, I said, we also look out for superstars. We look out for the people that we want to employ next. So when a job becomes available, we will look for potential employees from what they're doing for us. Is, will that somebody stand out? And I'm proud to say that last year we had 25 volunteers. One of them was Alex Bakela. She's a Polish girl. She's now working for us. A job became available about 3 months ago. And I approached her and said, listen, loved what you did for us last year. She really stood out to us. I've got a job available. Let's chat if you're free and you're not employed. And she just left university. She's now working for us full time.
Fantastic.
So, do you see what I mean? So it's things like that. It's like I say to the students, you can teach skill. That's another thing Paul always says, and it's so true, and I stand by what he says. You can teach skill, but you can't teach attitude. If somebody's got the right attitude and they've got the skill set, you will 100% employ them more than you would someone that's just got a good skill set.
Good
and
point.
That's the difference.
It's a good point, actually, and especially with you guys that are listening in and you're thinking that you might be struggling to attract top talent. I think what Tracey's just given you, by the way, is a great tip for attracting top talent. I think that's a fantastic thing. Going back on the road of relationships, actually, in terms of nurturing relationships, right, which is really, really important, because you've kind of highlighted the importance of that. But what is it? How do you nurture a relationship over a period of time? I mean, you've given some great examples, but if you were nurturing relationships, and Gerard, was it Gerard Robbins?
Yeah,
that's right. That was a great example, by the way. But in terms of processing a nurturing relationship, where would you start?
Well, basically, it starts off from the very beginning when you meet someone, whether you're going to click with them or not. If you're in a place of you're not going to click with them, you obviously, the relationship's not going to go any further. If you've got that resonation between each other, you've got that respect for each other, and you like each other, you can then 100% arrange to follow up with each other after the event when you meet, or whether it's online or offline. So you arrange to meet up. You have a deeper dive conversation. So we call them one-to-ones with each other to see how you can both help each other. So you obviously ask lots of questions about them, and hopefully they're of the same mindset that they'll ask lots of questions about you, because, let's be honest, relationships are two-way. It should never be a one-way relationship. It shouldn't be all about me. It should always be about the other person first anyway. But obviously if you're with somebody and all they're doing is talking, and they're never wanting to know about you, that's not the right connection to have in the first place. But then how you nurture that relationship and deepen the relationship is regularly keeping contact with them, showing up for them, being there to support them, And if they've got any tips to, if you've got any tips that you can give them, or you've got a connection that you can introduce them to, or you can give them some advice on something that they're doing in their business, is regularly having that contact with them, that you can show up in their lives and they can show up in yours. So arrange, so if you've I always say that if you go to a networking event and you only have one person that you've met with that you can really connect with on a deeper level, you never know where that's going to take you, because out of 100 people in a room or 50 people online, that one connection could transform your business and your life. And you never judge a book by its cover, because you don't know who they know.
Yeah.
So always be respectful to them, always show up for them if it's somebody that you really want to connect with on a deeper level, and just support and help each other as much as you possibly can, And I don't mean being in each other's faces every week or every day, but, regularly just stay in touch with them, perhaps once a month. Just say, hi, how are you doing? How's your week going? How are you managing in COVID-19 situation? Is there anything I can help you with? Or we've got some great new services in our business. Not sure if that can help you, but if you know anyone else, great, and it's just having that, keeping in regular contact with somebody.
Cool. Very good. Now they say that, you'll love this, by the way, they say that the fortune is in the follow-up. Now, how true is this, and how can you apply it?
It 100% is true. And obviously I created a lot of people. What I'd noticed when I did start doing the networking events, a lot of people weren't following up with each other, because a lot of members were saying, oh, off the, when we did the tables of 10, there was quite a few people, like especially the visitors, weren't following up with each other because they didn't really understand it. And they came to the events because their boss told them to, perhaps, and they got all these business cards, and it's like, what do you do with them? And most people would just put them on their desk or leave them in their suit pocket or their handbag, and they would do nothing with them. So I always say the fortune is 100% in the follow-up, because you have to follow up with people, to start building the trust, because if you don't, people will think, oh my God, she said she was going to follow up with me. She didn't. She's a waste of time. So that is, and then they won't respect you or think that you're a good connection anyway. Yeah. But obviously by following up and arranging a one-to-one with someone, if you think there's a good connection between the both of you, you can potentially sell each other's products and services, or you could sell your products and services to who you're following up with. And you don't know where that's going to take you, because when you're selling your products and services, if you don't follow these people and call them, you're not going to sell them anything. And obviously which is a little planner, if you like, fortune in the follow-up, it is called. And it's a planner to make people. So if you take your business cards away from a networking event and you've got 10 business cards, you transfer all those 10 business cards into that book, into that planner, so that you then know that they're there and you have to act on them. And there's little strategies in there to say, right, you need to follow one up. And if not, you ring them the next day and the next day. And in fact, I have my follow-up book right here, right now. So this is what I do every single day of my business life. I've got my fortune in the follow-up book. So yeah,
that's a great system. I think
that's where the fortune comes, by following up.
Everyone needs a good system like that, Trace. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people use online stuff. They might use HubSpot or Salesforce, and a lot of people like doing online stuff. But for people like myself, who like the physical book or the physical diary or a physical notebook to write things down, it's a great tool for people.
Definitely. Interesting question. I was going to say, because you, with Introbiz in particular, I mean, you between you and Paul, you run like hundreds of live events, hundreds of live events every year. I would like to know how you have found transitioning to the online space. What are the, I suppose, challenges more than anything else, and in terms of like being able to reinvent yourself and help and service your members? How have you found that?
Well, obviously the first few days was like, when we knew we were going to be going into lockdown, we had to look at, using Zoom or using something that would obviously take us online. And we had to make that decision very, very clearly to do that. And we want to be one of the first networks out there, especially in our area, to say, right, when, literally within 48 hours, we'd announced that we were going online, and we had to get it sorted, because when you're in business, things happen like this COVID-19. I mean, nobody could have predicted this ever in the world, but you have to react to things, and you have to react to things very, very quickly, because if you don't, you're on a losing streak and you could potentially miss lots of opportunities. So we had to embrace it, not like 4 years ago when I talked about, oh my God, we can't do this. Well, now it's forced us into a situation where we had to do it, because otherwise we weren't going to survive, because our business was always built on face-to-face events, including our exhibitions. So we've had to create our events online, which we've now done. But also what we've done is we've created things in our business that's going to be there from day one, from now going forward. Even when COVID doesn't happen, we will be doing that.
Fantastic. I think that a lot of the tips and strategies that you've given is really going to help a lot of our listeners and a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So just want to say thank you so much for spending us a little bit of time on the show and adding your words of wisdom and your value, Trace.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure, Adam, as always. And I love sharing my story of how I got it wrong, but then obviously seeing how things can get it right, and when you get it right, the fortune is in the follow-up,
Absolutely. So guys, listen, if you want to connect with Tracey, you can do so on, what's the best social media that for people to connect you with, or how should they connect with you?
Okay, well, I'm on as Tracey Smolinski on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And I'm also on social media, Twitter. So we're at Introbiz for Twitter. And you can just reach out to me. I'm very approachable on info@introbiz.co.uk.
Awesome. And guys, just remember, one thing I forgot to say as well is to mention Tracey's book called Master Networking, by the way. So check that out. It's on Amazon, right, Trace?
It is, and it's on my shopping cart on my website, which is introbiz.co.uk.
Cool. So make sure you check that out as well. And if you do reach out to Tracey, by the way, mention the Game Changers experience, so she knows exactly where you've come from and about some of the things that she's taught you in our conversations today. So guys, listen, hope that you've enjoyed the Game Changers experience. We'll see you back on the next episode, rocking and rolling. Take care of yourself. Have a fantastic day. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adam. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.